"We are in the process of witnessing the largest change to society in a long time." Those are the exact words used by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman just a couple weeks ago. But what happened just recently only accelerated that change. On May 1st, 2026, the Pentagon announced a new set of agreements with the frontier AI companies now shaping the industry. SpaceX, OpenAI, Google, Nvidia, Reflection, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, and Oracle. The official release describes the purpose as deploying advanced AI capabilities on classified networks for lawful operational use. Reuters framed the announcement slightly differently, reporting agreements with 7 AI companies, excluding Oracle from its list, but the larger story is the same. Advanced AI systems are being integrated into top-secret Defense Department environments. The department's own language is unusually direct. These agreements, it says, will help establish the United States military as an AI-first fighting force. More specifically, the release says the models will be brought into Impact Level 6 and Impact Level 7 networks, where they will streamline data synthesis and improve understanding in complex environments. This is the beginning of frontier AI being treated as operational infrastructure, something that sits inside secure systems, processes sensitive information, and supports the people responsible for understanding it. But what makes the announcement especially interesting is the missing name. Anthropic, the maker of Claude, is not included, and that is strange because Anthropic has not been a distant outsider. In its own statement weeks earlier, the company said Claude was already deployed across national security agencies for intelligence analysis, modeling, simulation, operational planning, and cyber operations. So the question is not simply why the Pentagon picked OpenAI, Google, Nvidia, and the others. The more interesting question is why one of the most important AI labs in the field is left out. That absence becomes the thread that unravels the whole story. The agreement itself reads like a map of the modern AI stack. Nvidia brings the compute layer. Its chips are still the foundation underneath most frontier AI systems. Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, and Oracle bring the cloud layer, the part that actually lets large organizations deploy software across secured environments. OpenAI, Google, Reflection, and xAI bring the model layer, the systems that can reason, summarize, code, search, and interpret massive amounts of information. The Pentagon's release says the companies will provide resources on both IL-6 and IL-7 environments. The reason for using multiple companies is also stated clearly. The department says it wants an architecture that prevents AI vendor lock. One model may be better at coding, another may be better at long context analysis, another may be easier to deploy securely, another may be cheaper to run at scale. But the question still remains, why was Anthropic not included in such a big deal?
The standoff between the artificial intelligence firm Anthropic and the U.S. government escalated sharply today. President Trump lashed out at the company's leadership and directed all federal agencies to stop using Anthropic's products.
President Trump didn't wait for the 5 p.m. deadline to pass, announcing at 3:47 p.m. he's cutting off AI giant Anthropic, posting on Truth Social, "The United States of America will never allow a radical left woke company to dictate how our great military fights and wins wars. I am directing every federal agency in the United States government to immediately cease all use of Anthropic's technology." That move after Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei refused an ultimatum from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to remove safeguards that would limit lawful use of its AI system called Claude.
If you had a moment with the president right now, tonight, what would you say to him?
You know, I would say we are patriotic Americans. We have done everything we have done has been for the sake of this country, for the sake of supporting U.S. national security. Our leaning forward in deploying our models with the military was done because we believe in this country. We believe in defeating our autocratic adversaries. We believe in defending America. The red lines we have drawn, we drew because we believe that crossing those red lines is contrary to American values.
On March the 5th, 2026, Dario Amodei published a statement on Anthropic's website titled "Where Things Stand with the Department of War." The opening line was blunt. Anthropic had received a letter confirming it had been designated a supply chain risk to America's national security. The company immediately disputed the decision.
We will be challenging the designation in court, not because we want to have a fight here, but we kind of feel that this exceeds the scope of the statute's authority. So, I think respectfully, and even as we continue to try to work out a deal, we kind of want to challenge this in court. This is not a way the statute is normally used, and so it kind of is important to assert our legal rights here. But aside from that, we're going to do everything we can to kind of de-escalate the situation.
Amity wrote that Anthropic did not believe the action was legally sound, and that it saw no choice but to challenge it in court. The company said fully autonomous weapons and mass domestic surveillance had not been included in its contracts. It also wrote that military decisions belong to the department, not private companies. One area of confusion, however, is the White House and administration's use of Claude and Anthropic, despite publicly labeling the company as a supply chain risk.
In February, on the eve of Operation Epic Fury, you publicly designated Anthropic as a supply chain risk. However, this week it's been reported that the White House is now helping agencies get around this decision to access Anthropic's technology. So the administration cannot credibly make both claims simultaneously. So before I ask you about the inconsistency, I just want you to reconfirm what it is you plan to use this technology for. It's been publicly reported that the decision to label Anthropic a national security risk was influenced by your personal and very public contract dispute with Anthropic when the company said that its technology could not be used for fully autonomous weapons targeting or mass surveillance of Americans.
Well, first of all, on Anthropic, they would not agree to our terms of service. That would be like Boeing giving us airplanes and telling us who we can shoot at.
This is not. This is not just about Anthropic, though. I just want
to be clear. And also, Anthropic is run by an ideological lunatic.
Anthropic says officials will only contract with companies that accept any lawful use. Reuters added another important detail. Despite the ban, Pentagon staffers, former officials, and IT contractors told the outlet they were reluctant to give up Anthropic's tools, which they viewed as superior to alternatives. That is what makes the situation unusual. The company that pushed hardest into classified AI work is suddenly outside the new classified AI group. And in the middle of that reversal is another Anthropic system, Mythos.
The company claims that its own creation, the Claude Mythos preview model, is too powerful for the general public.
In this case, the security researchers say that in fact they have already seen it escape the sandbox that they tried to build for it. In fact, one of them supposedly only discovered that this thing had gotten loose when it began emailing him while he was eating lunch in the park. So this is a system that absolutely has slipped its bonds already, the company says, and as a result poses a threat not just to Anthropic but to all of us. Any kind of hospital system or banking system that a system like this would amplify the powers of a hacker over, suddenly it looks like all of us could be in some sort of danger.
On April 7th, 2026, Anthropic announced Project Glasswing, an initiative built around Claude Mythos preview, a model the company described as our most capable yet for coding and agentic tasks. The key line came near the top of the announcement. Anthropic said AI models had reached a level where they could surpass all but the most skilled humans at finding and exploiting software vulnerabilities. Anthropic claims Mythos Preview has already found thousands of high-severity vulnerabilities, including flaws in every major operating system and web browser. In a technical section, the company says the model has identified thousands of zero-day vulnerabilities, many of them critical across operating systems, browsers, and other important software. One example stands out.
We haven't trained it specifically to be good at cyber. We trained it to be good at code, but as a side effect of being good at code, it's also good at cyber.
It has the ability to chain together vulnerabilities. This model is able to create exploits out of 3, 4, sometimes 5 vulnerabilities that in sequence give you some kind of very sophisticated end outcome.
We've been finding vulnerabilities across essentially every major platform.
I found more bugs in the last couple of weeks than I found in the rest of my life combined. For OpenBSD, we found a bug that's been present for 27 years.
Mythos reportedly found a 27-year-old vulnerability in OpenBSD, an operating system known for its security focus and often used in firewalls and other infrastructure. According to Anthropic, the flaw allows a remote crash simply by connecting to the machine. Project Glasswing is the response to that capability. Anthropic says the initiative will give early access to organizations responsible for critical software. Amazon Web Services, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JPMorgan Chase, the Linux Foundation, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Palo Alto Networks. The company also says more than 40 additional organizations will get access, alongside up to $100 million in usage credits and $4 million in donations to open source security groups. What makes Glasswing interesting is the company list. Some of the same names now working with the Pentagon, Microsoft, AWS, Google, and Nvidia are also inside Anthropic's cybersecurity coalition. Microsoft's Igor Chigansky says cybersecurity is entering a phase no longer bound by purely human capacity. CrowdStrike's CTO puts it more sharply. What once took months now happens in minutes with AI. 1 week after Anthropic announced Mythos, OpenAI answered with its own cybersecurity model. On April 14, 2026, Reuters reported that OpenAI had unveiled GPT 5.4 Cyber, a variant of its latest flagship model fine-tuned specifically for defensive cybersecurity work.
OpenAI has dropped its own cybersecurity project now. I'm talking about GPT 5.4 Cyber. Basically, it is ChatGPT's model meant for cybersecurity. Its guardrails are a little bit different for that reason, right? It's going to let you do some things in the name of security research and defense that some other models might not let you do.
To hear some of the wording that OpenAI included in their announcement, they say that this lowers refusal boundary for legitimate cybersecurity work. And of course, the question there is, who is making that call? What's actually legitimate cybersecurity work and what's not? And it also says that the model is more permissive, which means guardrails have been lowered. So when I see that, it really does make me wonder, what is actually going to be possible with a model that has got guardrails removed and is more permissive beyond just its intended purpose, which is to go in and to try to find malware potential and vulnerabilities and so forth.
Then, on April 30th, the story moves again. Sam Altman posted on X that OpenAI was starting the rollout of GPT 5.5 Cyber, calling it a frontier cybersecurity model. The model, he said, would go first to critical cyber defenders over the next few days. He added that OpenAI would work with the entire ecosystem and the government to figure out trusted access for cyber. OpenAI calls it its smartest and most intuitive model yet, with state-of-the-art results across several work-related benchmarks, including coding, computer use, and cybersecurity. On internal Capture the Flag cyber tasks, OpenAI lists GPT 5.5 at 88.1%. ahead of GPT 5.4's 83.7%, so the progression is fast. Anthropic has Mythos and Project Glasswing. OpenAI has GPT 5.4 Cyber, then GPT 5.5 Cyber. Cybersecurity has always had a strange symmetry. The same knowledge that helps a defender fix a system can help someone else break into it. A tool that finds vulnerabilities is useful because it sees what humans miss. But that is exactly why access matters. This is the problem Anthropic and OpenAI are both circling. Anthropic's Red Team write-up for Mythos says the company is limited in what it can disclose because over 99% of the vulnerabilities it has found are not yet patched.
Anthropic, which is a heavy hitter in the artificial intelligence world, has announced that it is teaming up with tech giants to, in its words, quote, secure the world's most critical software. What are they securing it from, you might wonder? Anthropic's own AI model called Mythos. Mythos has already found vulnerabilities in, quote, every major operating system and web browser that it's interacted with. And for that reason, fearing that bad actors, if this were out in the public domain, could exploit Mythos's capabilities, Anthropic says it is not releasing it just yet. It's a heck of a story. New York Times reporter Mike Isaac joins us now to explain. So, Mike, walk us through the basics. What Mythos is, what it's been allowed to encounter in the software world, and what are the implications?
So yeah, Mythos is the latest what's called model from Anthropic, a Silicon Valley startup, one of the most, I would say, buzzy AI startups out in San Francisco right now. And with each of these models, they're getting a bit more sophisticated in what they're able to do. You know, it's a type of research called reasoning, which allows them to, think a little bit further ahead than each last one. But Mythos is kind of different because this is very specifically focused on digging into operating systems for everything from desktops to smartphones to, different systems inside the government and finding any possible vulnerabilities inside them. And I was reading about this as they had released it, and they had made notes that, some software that's been around for decades Mythos found bugs in it, vulnerabilities that were critical in just a few hours of digging through it.
The future of cybersecurity may look less like humans fighting machines, and more like humans finally getting machines powerful enough to defend the systems we all depend on. The Pentagon deal is one sign of that shift. But where does this leave Anthropic? On paper, the company is excluded from the Pentagon's new classified AI agreements, but technologically, Anthropic is still very much in the conversation, and that brings us back to the bigger question. The first wave of consumer AI was a chat window. The second wave was productivity, coding assistants, research tools, meeting summaries, image generators, and agents that could move through software on a user's behalf. But the Pentagon's May announcement points to a different phase. AI is starting to move into serious infrastructure. The Pentagon's AI winners may not just be the companies selected for one set of classified agreements. They may be early signs of a larger shift. So as always, what do you think? Is cybersecurity the most important use case for frontier AI, or will the bigger breakthrough come somewhere else?